is still going into those LCQs no matter what happens in this game. I think one of two things is what you should be prepping for is one, don't try and show off maps that you want to try and play on the LCQ is one of them. And second is at least give yourself a bit of momentum going into those matches by actually winning this one.
Yeah. You know, we say that momentum isn't the real thing in terms of like, oh, you won your previous game, so you're better off in this one. But mentally speaking, massive confidence booster. Having, you know, let's say you drop 20 kills in the final map, then you go into LCQ, you're gonna feel great. You're gonna feel confident. So I fully agree. I think this is gonna be a matter of showing up and just, you know, take this also as a practice run. Get that final experience in before those really important games in the LCQ run.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into our Skyscraper, which, like Jesse kind of alluded to, it's not a map that SSG have had great history on, and it's certainly not a map that they would prefer to play. That's sitting, you know, around about like their second lowest preferred map, so it's one that I think SSG are maybe looking just to try and get by with it today, and maybe not bring that into the LCQ, a bit of a throwaway map, you could say. But I think for Oxygen, in terms of Skyscraper, it's a map that they're more than happy to play. Very comfortable map for Oxygen here today.
No, I mean, I don't disagree with you at all. The only thing I'm really curious about is, well, so throughout the entirety of NAL Stage 2, it's been a very defender-sided, I guess, season, you would say. So there's a lot of luck here on the side of OXG being, okay, they can start on that very favorable side, but OXG, they've had this one pressure point the entire stage. That has been their early rounds. You know, Fish and Newers not putting up good numbers in terms of intro kills, not doing very good in, you know, the plus-minus in terms of kill and death ratio. They've had a really tough season, to be honest, but what has worked out for OXG has been their backbone. Foxy, Yogg, and Dream. They have won so many rounds, basically playing 3 versus 5, specifically on Skyscraper, because of that early roam being shut down or just not working out for OXG. So if anything, I want to see them work on that this game, and for Newers and Fish to look more comfortable and look like they can play a more consistent game of Siege.
There's been a few times this season where I've seen Fish, and I just think, what's he doing? There's been a couple of times where Fish has given me a right old headache, but I will say that I think he's actually done surprisingly quite well for someone who I think is still fairly new in terms of, you know, some of the ages that some of these players have been around for. Oh, yeah. He is still very young in his career inside of Siege, so it's just getting him up to speed and getting him to gripes for playing for such a big team like Oxygen. You know, Nick, this has been a team that's been around for ages now.
Yeah. I mean, they go all the way back, and I really like the fact that we still see somebody like Foxy active in the pro scene and actually having a really good season too, because we see players play for, you know, 5-6 years and have a hard time, but sometimes you adapt and learn with the young guns. Speaking of which, Ashen, the youngest member to join Pro League, just turned 18 as his season, well, 2 weeks in basically, and he gets a kill, but he also dies first with the side of Space Station Gaming, so they're gonna play without a set of grenades in this round and essentially no real soft destruction outside the ash charges, so they can't really do any, you know, killing from below. It has to be kind of like a inside the building trading game for Space Station now.
Good to see Yogg get the immediate trade back. Someone who's been very consistent for Oxygen over the case of the stage. And now SSG, they're going to have to try and break through this first layer of defense that Oxygen have set up, using the Azami barriers, using the shield, just these layers of defense. They just keep falling back onto the site as best they can and waste more time, waste utility. So we've seen that early drop off from Fish, but we still have Yogg in the hot seat, in behind the Dragon Shrine. Hot maybe looking for a backstab up the house stairs. That could cause issues if nobody from Oxygen is aware of him. So right now, Nick, what I start to see from Oxygen is just hold their ground. They don't feel pressured. Yeah. There's no nades from below, like you mentioned. Ashen's gone. Where do SSG go from here?
Yeah, that's the thing. You gotta go in, quote-unquote, guns blazing. You have to break this line in the map that is essentially a very strong crossfire from the defending team. And, I mean, look at SSG. They're waiting, but for what? OXG know this. They don't gotta move an inch. They don't gotta move a muscle. SSG, they need it, but Fish, the young player, he gets traded at least. It's not all at the end there, but it's a rough start.
There was the backstab from Hot and Cold. Up the upstairs he goes, but has immediately been shut down. Jumps into the Frostmat Noah Forest. It's quicker to it, destroys that, but Dream destroys him in return. Now Faults in a lonely 1 versus 2. Oh, misses the shot onto Yogg. That's one of those, Nick, where he thought he killed him, he looked away, but nope, he's still kicking.
We've all been there. I mean, you know, for a very short second, I actually thought that Fish was going to absolutely throw the round there, just swing it from Dragon into a gunfight, but it wasn't all that. It was communicated between him and Yogg that, hey, Fish, you're gonna go swing, you got the worst gun with the UMP, and then Yogg is gonna re-swing afterwards and try and play for that 1-for-1 trade to open up that map. Perhaps OSG actually felt like, that the enemy was, essentially locking in on them. We did see Thatcher on forward outside the breach. You saw Hot and Cold come out the house up his stairs like you mentioned, so the flank actually was successful. But because OSG swung out first, they kind of reduce one of those two pushes, and they can all look in the same direction afterwards. It's actually a pretty decent play, and I'm curious how they made that decision because there wasn't a lot of intel on the side of OXG. Either the default cam downstairs, which is the good read on the game, must have given them the intel that they needed there to make the right decision.
Round 1 goes to the defense. A map like Skyscraper, we do see it be very difficult for attackers whenever you leave operators up, such as Azami, which we've seen displayed very well, and how you can just block off these different access routes into the building. The history of this matchup, Nick, it's currently SSG leading 8 series to 5 over the course of the history between both of these teams. That dates all the way back to 2020. Obviously, teams look very different than when they were there, but SSG leading in the all-time stats. I think for SSG today, it's just about showing us a little bit more. I think they start off pretty slow into the season. We know they had that week off, Nick, but then they started to get better as time went on.
They have, and I mean, they're gonna rush the bomb site. Go for it.
Hot and Cold, straight in. Nobody's with him. Nobody is responding from the defense. You hear the Lion scan go out, but nobody from Oxygen in a position to deny somebody just walking through the middle of the site. Ashen's in, he's ready with that G36. Misses the shots on the one, but Hot and Cold is there to pick up where he could not. Newers, oh, he's thinking, what on earth has just happened? A great shot on defaults, but Sight is in full control of SSG. A nade right at his feet eliminates Ashen. Newers, he has been the one, the chosen one for this side. We've seen him do magnificent things in the past, but here's a 1v5 clutch out of his reach. Moves in now. Looks to push in towards the corridor. Jane, I think in a great position. That rappel looks straight into the heart of the site. Hot and Cold is ready for that jump downstairs. Hot and Cold, who started things off, he finishes it as well, Nick. My goodness, that's classic SSG.
No, I mean, you said you wanted to see things from them, and all of a sudden they're in the bomb site, seemingly out of nowhere. And again, I love the fact that Space Station Gaming, they've gone through roster iterations, they've gone through different players and, I guess meta games of Siege. But one thing that's always been a staple is Hot and Cold and his ability to, create plays seemingly out of nowhere. Whether it was back when Buck was huge in the meta and he was always on the Buck, whether it was Ying before she got banned every single game, and nowadays, Hot and Cold still tends to play a lot of Nuke. And sure, he might sometimes be roaming, looking for those free kills around the map, but when he needs to, he'll also be in the very front of things. But the very big difference is, now you have Ashen who can follow up as that second entry player, and we saw Ashen sprint right on in, find those 2 picks, and they got full bomb site control, get the bomb planted down as well. There was no gaps there from Space Station. It was all covered. And I mean, the drone intel we saw there was a red ping that happened to lead Hot and Cold in towards the bomb site as well. So they had info, they got the follow-up trade. I mean, it's beautiful. And again, as you said, it's classic Space Station Gaming when they're playing at their very best.
And one thing that I'll kind of look at from Newer's perspective is 2 goo mines in the pocket, but that's not his fault. Because SSG hit the site so quick, sure, Legion's very strong in the meta where you got more goo mines, and the goo mines are very, very strong at the moment. If you're not going to be able to get them out in time, because you physically can't, that's not necessarily on him. I think that's more the case on whoever the site player is. Just needs to react more to that. You hear a Lion scan go off, and you're against a team like SSG? Come on now, that's common sense.
Yeah, I mean, oh my god, that is risky business. And again, they're quick in these early engagements, but you're right, Demo. It's up to the anchors to extend out far enough on the map to get that intel that, hey, there's a door broken downstairs, there's a window being opened up, because all of these decisions by the attack, they happen for a reason, either for a side rush, a push, or simply just for phantom pressure. It's important to recognize which one of those it's going to be. Foxy on the Bandit and Geisha. We see OXG being one of the few teams actually still playing a fair bit of Bandit in pro play. And, that's a big decision making. Okay, EMP goes out. Should I Bandit trick this wall? Well, if Foxy had tried to, he would have died to a grenade. Foxy, that experienced player, that veteran like we spoke of earlier, he chooses, you know what? I know INS downstairs because Ashen was in a gunfight. That means grenades are below me. I cannot risk to go for the Bandit trick. It's not worth that risk. And he doesn't go for it, and therefore he stays alive. And this is what I mean with the swings. They know that Gishwall is open, but it's not the primary push. That's gonna happen later in the game. So now Fox can tell his teammates, hey, Geisha, don't, nothing's gonna happen here. Don't help me. Worry about the roam clear on office side, perhaps.
Oh, we've got Heat Seekers below. Ashen misses it though on the Fox, and sure they've opened up Geisha, but the main thing that SSG are after is getting in towards Drum. They've opened Geisha just to alleviate some of the pressure and allow these 1v1 engagements to happen. Fultz has got himself tucked in nicely and is going to be holding for that Legion. Fultz tears them up with a Thermite, 2 in the round. Now he's going to give the call for his teammates to start wrapping around him and start making that push into the bomb site. Dream has to try and hold down the fort, trying to smoke off the backstairs to trying to help Fish make sure he doesn't get swung, but this is not looking good, Nick. 3v4, and SSG have all the control.
And they do. Also, the flanks on a lock. Holds with a triple canal on Thermite. Hey, Fragmite sometimes happens, man.
Oh, Fish, though, does respond of 2, and now Forest. He's in the 1v2. It's the old Uno Reverso. SSG into the 1v1. Forest finds Fox, and Fish. Very strong position with that Warden 1.5x. A great weapon for the defense. As things stand, both players still on full HP. 20 seconds. Forest, no diffuser in hand. Has to try and make the push in towards Vault. He will do so. Picks it up now. Puts the Claymore for the door. Fish has to be careful of that now. And we're going to see the kill maybe from Forest. No, we'll try and go for the stick. Fish has to move, sees that Claymore, pops the Claymore. Forest does not stick the defuse, so Fish, you should know that. All he has to do is stay alive. Forest pushing for the kill. Over he vaults, and Forest! Massive clutch in the 1v2. SSG had all the control in the early game. They lost it in the mid, but Forest cleans up in the late.
Oh, it's beautiful. I mean, you can talk about Forrest in a lot of ways, right? I mean, sometimes he's a support player, sometimes he's an entry player, but what he always is a smart player. He knew he couldn't plant that 1 versus 1, but he still sets it up. The Claymore gets put down, he gets very deep into that plant animation, but he still recognizes the second that Claymore is shot, he has to go on the offense and make that hero play, jump through a rotate, look to his left, get that pre-fire in, and it comes down to 1v1. But when you're up against Forrest as a new player of Fish, it's not really an even matchup. And I will say, Fish did play it well, but before it came down to that clutch moment, I want to just take a second to appreciate Space Station's map control with intel. I mean, Fultz, he got the intro kill, then somebody on drone says, hey, you're getting flanked right now, buddy, look behind you, he gets the second. Like, yeah, the SSG, they're really quick to get into the building, but they're not just blindly rushing in. They still got that drone network set up, they got the flanks covered, and I think a big part of why this is happening is because Seoul is actually banned out by OSG themselves. It's so hard to find these drones in the drone phase, and that means that if you're good at actually getting the drones into the building, you have intel off the rip, and you don't have to spend all that time setting them up in the middle of the round.
I was also going to comment with Souls being banned, why are we not seeing things like Brava come in, who I think is very strong as Skyscraper, very utility-heavy focused map. Brava makes a lot of sense to eliminate some of the gadgets. She will be brought now, and also the Flores, so the double set of droners. Only thing we're missing is the Twitch, and we will get the full collection, but not going to be the case this time around. Forrest, he's looking probably, I think, for any shields that could have been placed inside of delivery. Nothing's going to be there at the moment, and it looks to be a pretty standard push from SSG. Get Geisha open. This is going to be the main way of defenders holding on to the kitchen bomb site. Just use it from above. You have a hatch there. You've got plenty of angles you can open up via the flooring. So I think now it's just a case of SSG just have to do the basics, right, Nick? Just get the clear done. Yeah.
But, I mean, it's easier said than done, right? But sometimes you don't get clear. You just need one sneaky hot and cold on Nuke.
I don't know if this is the greatest idea, Nick, but Hot and Cold, he's going to go for it. I mean, he's in sight now, he's out of sight now, he's maybe walking up the main stairs. He's created a lot of space for Fultz, but Hot and Cold, this is tedious now. Stabs the goo mine, nobody hears him. Slowly but surely making his way up. Ashen finds Yoga. Will there be a bit of movement now for Oxygen? Hot and just let one go past him. Ashen's died. Fox is there, and Hot and Cold finally gets his kill. Another one of these freaky rounds for SSG have occurred. Still hunting for more, trying to check upstairs, but nobody's home inside of Geisha for the meantime. The player he's looking for is actually towards office side, in towards Dragon. A great nade! Dream goes down. Hot and Cold, I don't know how he's got away with this, but he has an Oxygen. Look, flustered, they don't know where to go. There's no refrags. Jano finds Fish. And the last player is Fox. He sat in kitchen. He started out above. Now he's downstairs in the site. 3 of them to find. Hot and Cold, he started this again. Will he be able to finish it again? Fox Swinging over towards the double window. Waiting for the peak. Foxa catches a glimpse, but no, not going to happen for him in the meantime. A couple of yellow pings are there for him. He's trying his best, but nothing's coming for him. Forrest finds him, and Nick, what a strange round.
Yeah, I mean, strange indeed, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's working so well. Because if you practice Skyscraper, you scrim it, you play it in pro play as OG they have been doing, you start to expect the quote unquote normal way that things they start to work out, right? Attacker's gonna go for the roam clear and office side, take top floor, clear gauge, then go for a plant. But Space Station, they're forcing these unorthodox plays, like, okay, nukes in the bomb side, and the amount of space that Hot and Cold created in that round single-handedly was just beautiful to watch. He even double-checked the goo mine, meleeed it to ensure that he could actually get this flank upstairs, and the second he gets the kill, he actually slows things down, because if Hot and Cold dies top floor, then all of a sudden she knows that that random, like, pressure that we don't know exactly where is because it's Nuke, well, it's gone now, because we killed Nuke. So just by staying alive and slowing things down, he keeps applying that pressure, he keeps granting space to his team, and SSG as a team, they play so well around it. It looks kind of random and chaotic, you know, at a first glance, but looking at the player positions and the follow-up, it looks very much either planned out, or at the very least well-rehearsed. It's very well done from them. And OXG, they call a tactical timeout. They gotta figure out what the issues actually are, because you're starting defense Skyscraper. You should statistically go up 4-2 in favor, and they're currently down 1-3. It's not a great look.
Not a good look. I just don't think they've reacted well enough. A lot of massive holes in their defense. We've obviously seen that. Maybe it's a case of just a little bit slow, starting off slow today. The comms aren't flowing. You know, give them the benefit of the doubt almost, but yeah, like you said, they need to be getting these rounds back with Skyscraper. You're on the defense. You have some very strong operators to play around with. You have the Izami that we mentioned before, so strong for holding really the middle portion of the map in towards Dragon, in towards Drum, respectively for each bomb site. Fish on the Valkyrie, see if maybe some information can be gained from those cameras, where it could be a case of just not having enough info. That could be another thing.
No, I agree, and again, the Solos thing, right there, Solos, it denies intel by killing drones, but also gives you intel as to where the enemy are going to be coming from. Because think about it, if you're playing Solos with the gadget active, you're gonna see Hot and Cold on the nuke when he's creeping around, because you can see the nuke, and that's just not the case. And you have to always wonder, okay, well, why is Solos banned? Well, the defending-sided team chose to ban that operator, and it doesn't seem like OHTs are very well prepared for it. Like, I like the Valkyrie round number 5, we saw Pulse in like round number 1, but outside of that, and okay.
I missed that.
Almost went sideways for a second there. But outside of those two individual rounds, there's not a lot of intel on OXG's side. SSG, one thing they've been doing, however, is when they're attacking office, that's when they do the good old methodical, the ABCs, the 1, 2, 3s, right? SSG, for the first time in the last 4 rounds, have not rushed head into the building. They're breaching, they're EMPing, and we still got Hot and Cold roaming downstairs, and he has those 2 grenades. If they can get intel on the bomb site, he could find some incredible value with those grenades later on.
He's just a rat, isn't he? Just look at how he's operating. He is everything that you hate to see in ranked. Everything. This is it. We've all been here. We've all seen these players who insta-lock the nuke, who go downstairs. They don't speak. They don't communicate with you in any form. And I mean, he's getting the kill, so I suppose you actually wouldn't mind having this form of a nuke in the right games. But I feel as though if they lose Hot and Cold, what's their plan B? I always feel SSG, they have a plan A, which works really well, but if that doesn't work, they just seem to just go away. They don't even start with anything else. That's it. Plan A or nothing. Force has got the nade kill. He just ran straight up the stairs. Finds 2 in the round, Hot and Cold. I'm loving the plays. He sees an opening. He takes the opening. And it just enables his team just to take control of stuff that they didn't have before.
Ooh. Timing is so bad, but Hot and Cold, he sprints in the middle of the gunfight there, but what are you watching right now?
Oh, I mean, the space has been made. Space has been made, though. Nick, SSG are in the site. Diffuser, just waiting for that to get picked up, and they've done so. Yaga almost finds Forrest. Forrest, don't be giving yourself away! All you had to do was wait for your teammate, and you've put False in quite the dilemma. A 1v1 against Yaga. Did spot him there for a minute. Both of them having the 1.5 axis, so they're evenly matched in the engagements. Valkyrie camera gets spotted out. Oh, missed flashbang. I don't think it matters, though. He's still going to try and stick to the fuse. Yoga looking for the bait and will bait out the first plant. Fakes it, Faults. He's going to go for the kill. He gets it. Faults on this Thermite today, Nick. He's untouchable.
Oh yes, he's been so good, not just tonight, but the entire stage. Him and Jin, I know, always putting in so much work, and we kind of saw Force, we've seen Force in a 1v1 and Force in a 1v1, and they played so differently. Force had to, vault through a rotate and pick up the gunfight. Instead, Force, he actually quote-unquote faked the fact that he was planting. He started planting, and then he came off it and just crouched walked ever so slightly through the bomb side, and it made Yake be like, is he planting? Is he not planting? Because there's 5 seconds left. If he actually were to stick it, Yake is in a bad position, so he pushes forward, trying to get that sound cue, and it turns out he wasn't. So Yake kind of walked into his own death there in the end of the round, and it's all thanks to, again, the intel game. They knew where that Valkyrie camera on the bomb side was, because if that had stayed alive, the dead players actually could say, he's not planning anymore, you don't gotta push Yake, just stay in Dragon. But because he took that extra second, found the Valkyrie immediately, and destroyed it, all of a sudden, he can start playing that mind game in the 1 versus 1. I will say here, you pointed out, the peak from Forrest kind of overextending it there, holding an aggressive line of sight while his team is outside the building. That puts it from a 2v1 in their favor to a 1v1, which is anyone's round, but definitely favoring defense. But either way, whether it's fast or slow, SSG, they're just winning these rounds.
Doesn't have to look clean. They'll take a messy victory if they need to, SSG. And we'll make it a little bit messier here, Nick, as the Amaru has been locked in. Straight away you think, okay, it has to be one of two things. It's either going up a hatch, or it's going straight through karaoke window. Opting for neither choice, just Gyro hooks up to outside the double window. So risky, because once E4 and you're gone. But Fox has not chosen to go for that. He's maybe looking for the bandit trick, and as the bandit trick goes in, we could just have a jump in from the shotgun, but it's not going to be the case. The shotgun will lie in wait as it stands and will actually rotate downstairs, so it looks like maybe going up the hatch now, Nick.
I would love to see it. Scout the shotgun is also close quarters, definitely favorable. I mean, you can toss in some flashbangs from the window, jump up the hatch. There's some options here from Space Station, but before they make any of those decisions, again, the intel work. You don't see Iana interdroning all that often, but that Gemini clone can provide a ton of value if you were to actually use it by having somebody else entry instead. There we see Ashen's up, and he's dead.
Gone. Yep, that
They got a trade.
Didn't last long, obviously did get the trade, but they've lost that shotgun. Hot and cold, he's still alive though. He's been the playmaker for SSG in this matchup. Nade will be cooked in his hand, but as we can see, nobody's home in that position. Yoga, this is what I mean. These Azami barriers are incredible in those positions. Oh, that's a rough one to swallow. Just on the other side of the wall there, else that would have been a dead Legion Forest. Oh, finds a dead Azami though. Eliminates that strong position. Fish with the automatic refrag onto the Nook, and Newers, he's in a good position to hold the main stairs. Great shot, but doesn't find the second fault on that Thermite. We've talked about it before. He's so strong. As of this time, a C4 falls on deaf ears, though. Both of them, I believe, have failed in the C4 from below. Jaina, no, he's been downed, and Faults once again in the clutch position. It was a 1v1 last time. Now it's a 1 versus 2. He's not going to move. Now he starts to look towards the swing. Downs it. A 1 versus 1. Up against Fish. Flashbang goes out into the corridor. This is a great angle. Holds on to the bomb chassis. Moves across now. Repositions. Fish, do you know he's there? No, you don't. Faults. Another clutch. Oh, he's unstoppable.
I mean, he's so smart in these positions. He's have ease in chat. I mean, you shouldn't lose those 2v1s from the side of OXG, but it comes down to Faults playing that basically perfect. I mean, he seeks out the first aggressive engagement, trying to leverage it down to 1v1, and then he just plays the positioning game, right? He wants to figure out, okay, where is Fish going to be at? Then he sidesteps, waits for the pre-fire, and then he just has it under lock and key. Like, there's no easy way there for Fish whatsoever, unless he had intel, which again, SSG, they figured that out. They destroyed the Valkyrie cameras. That's why we saw those C4s fly completely sideways, not really hit their marks. Sure, they got one injured, but not onto the planter, and that's the most important part. You want to kill the person holding the diffuser, that's false. Not the Thatcher on the other bomb site, which didn't really matter all that much. But again, the nades downstairs, almost every single one I believe so far, at least finding one kill or doing a ton of damage. And what was a great effort here from Newers, just again ends up with Force winning incredible gunfights back to back to back. 5-1 now in favor of SSG. And they chose this map, and they very much look great on it.
I've got a stat bomb for you, Nick. This is coming from Jesse J. Chick. He's just, I mean, I didn't ask for it, but, you know, Jesse just shoves the information at your face if you don't want it or not. For this... No, he doesn't. But for this game, Hot and Cold had 4 times more rounds on Nuke than anyone else in the NAL.
I believe it.
So he played 12 rounds before this game. And the one that he's bested over has been Citizen with 3 rounds on Nuke. So Nuke fallen out of favor, apart from Houghton. Houghton's still living back a couple of years ago, Nick.
I mean, to be fair, Nuke did receive that nerf very recently where the gadget doesn't really reduce your movement
noise,
audio anymore. So all those ranked rats, as we call them, they stopped playing this operator, and so did most pro players. But I think people actually... they think too harshly of that nerf. I think it's still very playable. I just think it takes more teamwork around it, and I think SSG and Hot and Cold showed us exactly that. Nuke can still be a meta operator.
No, a good start for Newers in the round. He got taken out around about 40 seconds ago. So they are without the entry, without the Ash. Strong operator to have whenever you're dealing with these Azamis. It's a good way to get rid of them. Hot and Cold has been successful with one impact trick onto that main breach. The side wall will be opened in towards Minibar. But do keep in mind that this is not an office defense. This is actually your VIP, or not your VIP, your karaoke and tea room defense. Hot and Cold trying to hold on to office and VIP as it stands. And is he looking for the swing? One lines up. Eliminates some SSG. Look, this is going to be a lockout round for them. Oxygen never really got it going. They lost the entry, they've lost 2. Kill comes back for Yoga. He's blue with nade still, but look at the time, Nick, that we're on. 1:10 to go. 3 players dead. Oh, good look.
Recovered their diffuser.
No, it's not. I believe Hot and Cold also actually given up the position on the roam, saying, oh, we got those kills. You know, we bought some time. Let's just go all the way back to the bomb site and force OG to drone every corner, every inch of the map, worry about the flank. There's only 2 members left alive. Space Station, they got discipline. They're so excellent in these advantageous positions. They're not gonna throw it away. They're gonna make OG work for it. And I mean, they have 3 grenades. In a perfect world, you try and get a nade kill here to even the numbers a little bit more. But then again, you don't have intel to work with. You can guess where they're going to be standing at, but you can't go downstairs. So very limited options here for the attack inside, and it's messy.
It is. It's been a scrappy game, but this is our round that I think SSG will be very happy with. The initial plan, winter plan. Forest sees a leg. Nade gets tossed beside him. That's a great smoke canister. Fish just locked out of it. Good shot from Yoga to get it back, but with 10 seconds to go, he's not going to have enough time. J-Nano claims the final kill. And SSG put themselves on map point.
And looking good doing so. I mean, whenever you're in these kinds of games where you're playing for seeding and whatnot, there's always, at least back in my day, back in Europe, there's a discussion to be had when you lose the first map, which is, are we just gonna like, not throw the second map, but like, do we care this much to force a third map and go the way and spend all the energy and time in showing more maps than necessary? I don't want to say that OG, they are choosing to not try their hardest right now, but I will say that whatever they are doing is not good enough, right? This is a sloppy OXG. Sure, SSG had excellent attacking rounds, but that first opening from OXG on their attack, they get spawn peeked, they can't roam clear, it's Hot and Cold versus like 4 people and like nothing really happens from it. The intel is messy, no nades below with intel. It's not a great look. And again, how serious they're taking it, I don't know, can only be guessing, but it's not the performance I expected from Oxygen today, given that they played Skyscraper before and looked a lot better.
10 seconds left before insertion.
SSG
5
move over to very strong bomb site whenever Mira is available towards that office site now. SSG going with a similar idea of trying to defend the other side of the map first and then fall back into your very strong setups on site. Oxygen obviously seeing the Mira window in place will be bringing in that Twitch to see if they can snipe a few pieces of gadgetry, and obviously that mirror window as best they can. Oxygen today, Nick, I think for the most part for Oxygen, as we know, it's a seeding match. It's not going to be, you know, the biggest of losses for this team to suffer, but you still want to put on a good showing.
Well, you do, and there's still time to do so. It's just when you're down 1-6, you gotta put on an incredible performance, 5 rounds in a row, and then you're into overtime. That's a lot of effort. The thing is, when you're attacking a Skyscraper, it can be very mentally frustrating and difficult to go through those problem-solving processes. I mean, see it right now. Everyone's kind of locked outside the building. OXG don't have as quick and as clear as a plan like we saw from Space Station. And they spent the first minute just kind of droning. Essentially, the first step of the map, kind of waiting for a swing here, perhaps from SSG, expecting aggression. Last time it was hot and cold in the Roman solo downstairs. This time it's Foltz on the mute with the C4 in hand. OXG, they gotta make a decision. Are they gonna hunt that player down or hit the bomb site instead? Because playing both sides is not gonna bode well. You're too spread out, or spread apart rather.
Oh, Foltz misses his SMG-11 burst, and he gets punished. Oh, Newers! Be careful! Jaeger trying to run out on him, get the kill back. They were still a little bit scared that he might try the double run out. We knew that Jaeger, he's not going to move an inch. He's going to wait for Newers to come to him. Minute 15 left on the clock. Oxygen, they've got the first kill, which is a good start, but they haven't really made a dent onto the actual site as it stands. Ashen gets eliminated. Dream, he picks up his kill. Houghton has now since left delivery, and he has to try and get back to site. There's not a lot of players upstairs left for them. Really, time could be the only thing that I can see Oxygen slipping up on as it stands. They have the man advantage. They have cleared out a good chunk of the C4s as well, and Houghton walks into house somehow. Gets the flick, eliminates Fish. Houghton Cold retaking up house stairs. Know that one did jump in split window, holding for him, waiting for him, but the more he holds, the more he waits. It gives Dream time to get the plant down, and he looks away at the wrong moment. Yaga swings in with that DMR, and Oxygen, maybe a little bit of fight left in them still.
Oh, so it looks like it. And you gotta wonder, what would have happened if Foltz actually had stayed alive downstairs in master bedroom and not exposed himself to a long angle from essentially outside the building and forced OXG to actually problem solve around him? He did have that C4, so if he was alive in that scenario, he could have done for a toss downstairs, maybe shut down the plant at the entry, and allowed Hot and Cold more freedom as to what he wanted to do. Instead, Hot and Cold took it upon himself to become the hero of the round, and he did win out in an incredible gunfight downstairs, but walking in and retaking the bomb site without intel on where the attackers are planting at or holding you from, that's difficult. And we did see a member from SSG also being downed or injured early in the round, so that 3v3 that it looked like was essentially a 2 versus 3 instead. And we see it right here. Hot and Cold just kind of walks in, doesn't realize, and yet somehow still wins the gunfight. He's really got Fish's number in these rounds.
10 seconds remaining.
6-2 the scoreline.
5 seconds
Oxygen,
remaining.
just looking at the kills across the board. Newers really struggling this game, Nick, and that's always strange to say, because I remember him back at SI this year. He was unplayable at times. You know, he was right up there as showing that he's one of the best in the world for that year. And he's just not showing it. I think this stage he's really struggled.
He has struggled, and it's always hard to pinpoint when an entry is having a bad time, what the actual issue is. Is it decision making? Is it just a bunch of bad timings? Is it the meta affecting me? Is it like support work, drone, intel, etc.? It's really hard to pinpoint, but Newers has been struggling both attack and defense, and OXG, they still play a lot of intel operators. They love the Twitch, they love the Brava. We see Fox here on support, always droning things out. Either way, one thing that's for sure is that OXG, they were so reliant on that success earlier, kind of like Shaiko and BDS back in the day when they were a one-man team. OXG having similar struggles in the entry area, at least. This could be a good nade, but caught by a disc, and Hot and Cold with a good read in the situation. He knows the cover is no longer there and has to get up this position. But because one nade is going to be spent here, second disc actually, he can then trick after that second nade goes out. OXG might be locked out of this breach.
Yeah, they didn't go below to eliminate the bandit battery from downstairs. Quick trades happen. Fish with the entry, but Ashen hot on the mark with that refrag. Has the shotgun in hand, Nick. In that delivery, it is pretty close. You get to your enemy, so certainly the shotgun is going to be a good option. Echo Cam does get spotted out by Dream before his own drone gets eliminated, and he will tiptoe into delivery. Ashen has since then rotated away from that position, and into kitchen he goes. Oxygen have foregone that upstairs clear, and it's now a sideways take, looking to push across from only just the first floor. No upstairs presence at all, but that's probably going to cost them, Nick. Look at the upstairs verticality that is still at the disposal of SSG. They have all these angles open. You're not going to be able to plant in here.
No. And that's the thing, this is a plan B for OXG, right? They couldn't get step number 1, so they gotta go and skip to step number 3 and just kind of hope for the best here and win that close gunfight. But Ashen, he's looking to stop it, and I don't think they know he's got a shotgun in his hand, but they will find out when they turn this corner, because they're gonna get popped.
The shotgun is devastating. Very, very strong, but misses the shot. Dream will finish him off, but above, look at the angles being held. Janano not letting anyone walk in through that window. Fultz now is swung into kitchen. Oh, there's the coverage from Janano. Fultz just stay alive. He's safe as long as there's players above. He knows no one can touch him. Oxygen have had to retreat out of delivery into the main lobby. They push into barbecue. They will now go. Dream pre-fires on the Fultz, but the players are still above. Yoga challenges, but oh, looks away at the wrong time. Janano still as strong as ever. Holds above. Dream, he's looking for the plant. It's gonna have to stick it now, but this will be an easy cleanup for Houghton. He swings in, and Oxygen fall. SSG take the first map. A strong showing, Nick.
Yeah, I mean, very, very, very convincing on both the attack and the defensive side of things. And it's weird because OXG has been such a good defender team, but their attacks look better today in the few rounds that they did get to show them at least. And I want to see if they can do better on the second map, because that is not the